My name is Dr. Naïma Moustaïd-Moussa. I'm Horn Professor in the Department of Nutritional Sciences and Director of the Obesity Research Institute. Research in our lab focuses primarily on obesity and metabolic diseases. And specifically, we're looking at the fat tissue and its functions and how expansion of the fat tissue in obesity can lead to other metabolic dysfunctions and diseases, such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease. We're also looking at how we can use dietary compounds, foods, to reduce some of these metabolic alterations that occur in obesity. For example, when the fat tissue expands, we have a enlarged adipose tissue, we have immune cells that infiltrate the fat tissue because obesity is recognized as an abnormal function or reaction in the body. So these immune cells are going to try to correct basically these changes that occur in obesity, infiltrate the fat tissue, which then leads to inflammation and production of inflammatory substances within the fat tissue or by the immune cells, which then get into the bloodstream and can alter the function of the liver, of muscle, of other tissues, and lead to a variety of diseases. So it's believed that's one of the mechanisms by which obesity can lead to other chronic diseases. So we use primarily in our lab, for example, fish oil. We use dark cherry to see if we can reduce this inflammation and the fat accumulation in obesity. We are also looking at how these dietary compounds can extend lifespan. What got me interested in researching obesity in general and metabolic diseases back in time when I was an undergrad student, actually my interest was more in understanding lipid metabolism, how fat is metabolized. I really like the biochemical reactions that one fat molecule can actually be changed in the body into several metabolites, several other molecules. And then later on, I actually, in looking for a project for my own dissertation at that time, related to lipid and fat metabolism, I ended up in a lab that studies genetic obesity. They had a strain of rats that genetically develop obesity, which later on humans were identified with the same type of mutation that led to obesity in the rats. And then after I graduated, I did my graduate degree in France at the University of Paris. And then when I moved to the US for a postdoc, at that time, there are new tools that have been developed to study metabolism, molecular biology, cloning, and so we wanted to learn all those techniques. At the same time, at that time in the 90s, obesity rates started to increase significantly. So then that was a natural area to stay on, to study fat metabolism, to understand how obesity develops, what are the factors that can cause it, contribute to it, because obesity is very complex. It's a complex disease. And so before moving here actually to Texas Tech, I was faculty at the University of Tennessee. So I started my research program there in my first faculty position. And we started studying fat metabolism, cloning fat-related genes. That means genes coding for enzymes that store fat or oxidize fat, break it down. And then from there, we, and others have found that with obesity, there is this inflammation that develops. And being a nutrition scientist, I was more interested in dietary compounds, like I mentioned, fish oil. And after I moved to Texas Tech, I continued the same area of research, expanded the nutritional interventions. For example, we're using curcumin. We have used some vitamin E derivatives to understand how they can be used alone, individually, or in combination to reduce the metabolic dysfunctions in obesity. For the most part, undergraduate students have been part of the research that we conduct. We always have 12 to 14 undergrad students from various programs on campus, from the Pi Square program, from honors, or any student who is interested from nutritional sciences, human sciences. We have several from biology as well, or biochemistry. So we're open to taking any student interested in the topic that we study.
I really enjoy to work with the students because it's very amazing that you see them like to learn the skills that like they grow, like not my own kids, but kind of like that. I feel like I'm a part of their research. I want them like to not only get the experience, but also that from their truly inside that they really love research, that they use their own hands to figure out the questions as what is the research question, what is their hypothesis. And after all the experiment, after the data analysis, they find out something. They really feel that they help with people health.
So when I first came to college as a freshman, as a first-generation college student, I was a bit lost, trying to figure out what am I going to do in my future career. I knew I was interested in STEM, in the field of biology and health sciences. So after I took my first nutrition course, I absolutely fell in love with it. And I was like, I didn't know if I would do research for my future or health professions, but I got involved in research just to learn more about problem solving, how exactly our bodies work and our metabolism. Reached out to Dr. Naïma and I've loved it ever since.
I am actually a member of a organization called SACNAS. It's the Society for the Advancement of Chicanos and Native Americans in Science. And my freshman year, I went to one of the Science in 3Ds that we have, and Dr. Moustaïd-Moussa presented at one of our meetings, and it sounded really interesting. This lab focuses a lot on kind of hard science, so there's a lot of biochem and a lot of stuff like that that I feel like I'll be able to use not only in med school, but also when I become a doctor, I feel like I'll have a deeper understanding of the actual science that's going on in our bodies. And yeah, I feel like it's really advanced my knowledge.
So most people, when they join undergraduate research, they think I have to go into research for my future career. But that's not necessarily true. A lot of skills that I've learned here that's very transferable to a variety of careers after include different presentation skills, problem solving, as well as communication with coworkers.
I hope that in the future when they start their own career, that they can, no matter they want to be a researcher or they work in industry or they in a medical school and be a doctor in the future, they can always think in a research way. They always think that's to find the data from solid research and to help with their patient or their client, that their people that they met in the future.